Shahara, welcome back to my channel, to the Witchy Readers. So I'm going to be talking about the queer books that I want to read. Probably will get done with them this Pride Month. There's a couple of these that were on my TBR for this Pride Month. Didn't get around to them. It was hard for me to get to reading sometimes because there's just a lot going on. But things have settled down and I should be able to read a lot next month. And even though it'll no longer be Pride Month next month, I might still try to check some of these out. So we'll see. Because it's not a good time to read a queer book. So there's Alchemical Dreamer, which is the first in a series, but it's the only one out of the series so far. And it's Kroto Wolfspar has never truly belonged, the only half-orc in a land of humans. He spent his life assisting his adopted father, the healer of Mistkind, close enough to be useful, never close enough to be accepted. He's learned to swallow the stares, the silence, the feeling of being tolerated instead of trusted. When he finds a traveler injured in the woods, a mysterious man who insists Kroto be the one to treat him, his life turns upside down. As payment, the stranger leaves behind a potion said to turn him human. For Kroto, who's dreamed of becoming an alchemist all his life, it feels like the first real spark of possibility. But every miracle has its price. Caught in the currents of guild politics and ancient secrets for larger than himself, Kroto crosses paths with the noble, sharp-tongued, infuriatingly handsome, and desperate for a life no one ever gave him a choice to want. As their fates intertwine, Kroto must decide what kind of man he wants to the one the world accepts, or the one who dares to be free. So I thought that sounds very interesting. I'm very excited for that one. I also have Demon Marked by Kat Kenny. It's technically the fourth in a series, but apparently when I first asked for queer books to read and someone suggested this one, said that it's even though it's part of a series, it's one of those series where you can read them out of order because they don't necessarily go together. So yeah, but it says, Everwood Falls, a small supernatural community tucked up in the Colorado Rockies where witches, werewolves, and vampires can live without fear of discovery, and those with curses they can't control are sent to keep the existence of magic from being revealed to mundanes. When Nora Malone left the underworld, she swore on her dark demon wings that she wouldn't look back. Quiet Everwood Falls, with its dress code of plaid flannel, was a chance to start over and leave her past as a bounty hunter and enforcer for Hades behind. She's a detective now in the mundane world. Her life is pleasantly free of hellhounds and fire pits, thank you very much. But now Nora's past has caught up to her, and the people closest to her may pay the price if she isn't able to stop a demon curse before time runs out. Blacksmith Ember Silverleaf is hardly afraid of curses. Between her fire wielder magic and the Faye enchanted swords and creates in her forge enemies and potential dates usually run from her. Nora Malone is the scout to her sunshine and the one person in 3 realms who possibly does not like her cupcakes, which is too bad since she's entering them in the upcoming Solstice Spectacular annual baking competition hosted by a famous demon chef. As the baking competition is threatened, Nora and Ember will have to work together to find out who is behind the demon curse before someone is seriously hurt. With a herd of enchanted elk, carnivorous spruce trees, and sentient pumpkins that stalk the local landscaping, Everwood Falls is a quirky mountain town where fangs and fur mean found family. Everwood Falls has sweet paranormal romances with cozy mysteries and guaranteed happily ever afters. The series can be enjoyed in order or read as standalone without needing to be read to read the other books. So I was right, yeah. So that's definitely on my list because that sounds interesting, and I'm always up for magical realms and stuff. And there's a whole demon thing, and that sounds really interesting. Next is called Bare My Heart. It says, I never did anything to Saren's heart. If anything, she did something to mine. I was simply existing, enjoying the solitude and stillness of my home. I was content in my hut, far up on God's mountain. I wandered among the old gods and listened to stars sing. Then Saren showed up, rippling through my silence with her quiet voice. She made the sun brighter with her smile. She warmed my home with her mere presence. She changed everything without changing anything. I almost killed her with my claws. Now I'm not sure I can live without her. Sounds very interesting, and I'm very intrigued. So I'm definitely excited for this one. I've been wanting to read this one for a bit, around the time it came out, honestly, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. but I'm hoping to read this one soon. It sounds really interesting, and I'm also interested in anything that has to do with bears. For those of you that do not know, I am obsessed with bears. You guys might know my love for the book series Seekers, and if you've been on my channel for a while, I'm sure you do, because it is a series that I will forever mention for the rest of my life. And it is the only time that I decided to read a book solely based off the cover. Well, I read the back. The cover was what intrigued me, but I read the back before I even decided to read it, because I have to at least be intrigued by the concept to read something. I can't do it solely based off cover. Like, even if the cover intrigues me, if the summary does not sound good enough, I will not pick it up. I don't care how good the cover is. And I know I'm alone in this in a lot of ways, but I don't care. But I saw a cover that had to do with bears. Actually, my friend saw it and came up to me because we were at the library together, and she knew my love for bears, so she was like, "Look what I found!" And so I read the back, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm intrigued." And then all the rest is history, because I fell in love with the entire series, and there's like 12 books in the series. I'm obsessed with that series. And what first intrigued me was the fact that it had bears on the cover. I am obsessed with bears, and the first nonfiction book I ever read, because I was never into nonfiction, though I am reading a little bit more nonfiction nowadays, had to do with bears, because I wanted to learn everything I know about bears. And I don't even know where this obsession came from, okay? People were giving me bears, stuffed animals, since I was a child, and then I guess I just became obsessed with bears. I really don't know where the obsession came from, but one of these days I'll do an apartment tour, because my apartment is finally how I want it since I moved here. And so yeah. So maybe one of these days I'll do an apartment tour. If anyone's interested, let me know. But I have like an entire thing of stuffed animals, and not all of them are bears. Don't get me wrong, but yes, at least 90%, if not 95%, are bears. And then I have a whole bunch of figurines. My figurines are either skeletons or bears, because skeletons and witchcraft are my other two what I collect, I guess. Other than books, obviously. So I have a whole bunch of bears. I have like see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil pandas. I just have a lot of bears. Okay, I have bears, the animals, bears figurines. I have cool bear pictures. I'm trying to fix this one because the back came off. I might need a new frame, but I have this bear picture. I used to have another one with a black bear that did this, but I lost it in one of the moves, unfortunately. So I'll see if I can find it again. I also have another bear picture that does not move, but it looks like it's looking out at a window with a bear on a tree. It is cute. And then not to mention the bear books I have because of Seekers. And I know so many useless bear facts that you'll be surprised how many people don't know. Like, I am obsessed with bears. Maybe an unhealthy amount. But the moment I first saw the author Blue Sky promoting it, and it had a bear on the cover, and it was called Bear My Heart, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. At least see if the summary was interesting, see if I would want to read it, because like I said, I have to at least be intrigued by the concept. And I am, so I definitely want to read it. But it having something to do with bears just drew me in. Like, I can't help it. I'm obsessed. So that's my little bear rant for the day. Moving on. And then I have The Court of the Dead. So this is a Percy Jackson book. I am mostly caught up with Percy Jackson books, I think. Other than the newest book in the newest trilogy that has to do with Percy and Feather Grover trying to get into college. And I still haven't read Magnus Chase. I started the first book, but got bored. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna give it one more shot. But if I can't get into it, I'm just gonna DNF it. I'm not afraid to DNF books. So when Son of Star first came out, which has to do with Nico, son of Hades, and Will, son of Apollo, I read it. I think I got it at the library, and I read it because I was very intrigued. Nico's one of my favorite Percy Jackson characters, and I absolutely fell in love with their story from the last Heroes Olympus books, and then you get to see glimpses of their relationship in Trials of Apollo, and I absolutely loved their relationship. It was so good. But and then I bought it. I don't remember when I bought it, to be honest. but I did. I just have I plan to reread it before I read this one because first of all I wanted tablets, and second of all I only read it once and I really loved it, so I will want to read it again. And then this one I got for Christmas last year. My mom got it for me for Christmas, and I wanted to read it because I love Nico and Will. Plus, you're gonna see some of Hazel's in this book as well, so you're gonna see some of the Nico Hazel sibling because I feel like in Heroes Olympus we didn't get it too much. At least that I remember. I plan to reread all the Percy Jackson books because I haven't tapped them yet, and I only read them once, if we're gonna be honest, which was forever ago. I've been meaning to reread them, I just haven't got to the chance. But now that I have all my books with me again and have my library set up, I'm planning to reread the books I haven't read in a while. And I'm currently also rebuying books that I used to own and no longer do, unfortunately, because some of them got lost in storage, some of them got lost in the fire I had several years ago, house fire that I haven't been able to replace yet because we struggled a lot the last few years, but we're finally in a good place, so I'm finally slowly starting to get the books I lost back, so I'm very happy about that. But I'm very happy to read this. This is like one of the first Sprayed Edges books I got too, and it's just really good. So I really liked it. But I'm definitely excited to read this one because I absolutely love Nico and Will's relationship. I absolutely love it. I love the idea that they're just so opposite too, okay? Like not even just their personality wise. Like Nico is the son of Hades, Will is the son of Apollo. You don't get any more opposite than that. Okay? But I really like them. They're really cute. They have probably become one of after. I mean, I always thought they were cute, but now that we have their own story where there's the spotlight, and we got to see more of them. They've definitely moved up on my favorite queer ships as well. So yeah. Cemetery Boys. A trans boy determined to prove his gender to his traditional Latinx family summons a ghost who refuses to leave in Aiden Thomas's paranormal YA debut, Cemetery Boys. Yadriel has summoned a ghost, and now he can't get rid of him. When his traditional Latinx family has problems accepting his true gender, Yadriel becomes determined to prove himself a real Brujo. With the help of his cousin and best friend Maritza, he performs the ritual himself and insists to find the ghost of his murdered cousin and set it free. However, the ghost he summons is actually Julian Diaz, the school's resident bad boy, and Julian is not about to go quietly into death. He's determined to find out what happened and tie off some loose ends before he leaves. Left with no choice, Yadriel agrees to help Julian so that they can both get what they want, but the longer Yadriel spends with Julian, the less he wants to let him leave. I thought that premise sounds really interesting. This is actually going to be on my TR for a bit, so I'm hoping to finally get to it at some point. I have a huge TBR, so we'll see when I actually get to it. I also have You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight, which has also been on my TBR for a bit. I think the next few books I mentioned are going to be on my TBR for a bit. So, at Camp Mirror Lake, terror is the name of the game, but can you survive the night? This heart-pounding slasher by New York Times bestselling author Caitlin Byron is perfect for fans of Fear Street. Charity has a summer job of her dreams playing the final girl at Camp Mirror Lake. Guests pay to be scared in his full-contract terror game as Charity and her summer crew recreate scenes from a classic slasher film, The Curse of Camp Mirror Lake. The more realistic the fear, the better for business. But the last weekend of the season, Charity's co-workers begin disappearing, and when one ends up dead, Charity's role as the final girl suddenly becomes all too real. If Charity and her girlfriend, Bezzy, hope to survive the night, they'll figure out what this killer is after as they unravel the bloody history of the real Mirror Lake. Charity discovers that there may be more to the story than she ever suspected. So, very intrigued. So Vanquishers. Technically, it's a trilogy. Technically, I've read the first book, but then I had trouble finding books 2 and 3. I finally found them on Spotify with our audiobook plan. So I'm probably going to reread the first book because it's been a while. It's been, oh god, at least like 2 or 3 years, I feel like. And then read the second and third ones because I don't remember the first one very well. But the first book says, in the world of the Vanquishers, vampires were history until now. A sharp vampire. Oh wait, hold on. Where's the? Okay, Malika Boog Wilson and her best friends have grown up idolizing the Vanquishers, a group of heroic vampire hunters who wiped out the last horde of the undead decades ago. Nowadays, most people don't take even the most basic vampire precautions. The days of the garlic weeds and early curfews long gone, but Boog's parents still follow the old rules, much to her embarrassment. When a friend goes missing, Boog isn't sure what to think. Could it be the school counselor, Mr. Rupert, who definitely seems to be hiding something, or could it be something more dangerous? Boog is determined to save her friend, but is she ready to admit vampires might not be vanquished after all? No one ever expected the Vanquishers to return, but if their town needs protection from the undead, Boog knows who to call. Inspired by Buffy the Vampire Slayer and The Watchmen. I love Buffy, so. But yeah, I remember really enjoying the first book. I do. And then I have The Golden Flame, which I'm pretty sure I read has an ace character, which is why it's on the list. Orphan and forced to save her country's ruling group of scribes, Karis wants nothing more than to find her brother long ago shipped away, but family bonds don't matter to the Scriptorium, whose sole focus is unlocking the magic of an ancient automaton army. In her search for her brother, Karis does the seemingly impossible. She awakens a hidden atom nation, intelligent with a conscience of his own. Alex has no idea why he was made, or why his father, their nation's greatest traitor, once tried to destroy the automation. Suddenly, the Scriptorian isn't just trying to control Karis, it's hunting her. Together with Alex, Karis must find her brother, and the secret that's held her country in its power for centuries. Then I have What We Devour, which I know has an ace character. Lorena Adler has a secret. She holds the power of the banished gods, the noble and the vile, inside her. She has hidden her entire life, both from the world and from her past. She's content to spend her days as an undertaker in a small town, marry her best friend Julian, and live an unfulfilling life so long as no one uncovers her true nature. But when the notorious bloodthirsty crown prince comes to arrest Julian's father, he immediately recognizes Lorena for what she is, so she makes a deal, a fair trial for her betrothed father in exchange for her service to the crown. The prince is desperate for her help. He spends years trying to repair the weakening door that holds back the vial, and he's losing the battle. As Lorena learns more about the door and the horrifying praise it takes to keep it closed, she'll have to embrace both parts of herself to survive. I thought that one sounded really interesting, to be honest. A Monster High comic, because I'm really into Monster High, so I wanted to read some Monster High related stories. And this one, so I read one this month, the Pride Month, about Valentine and Spelladon, and it's when when they first really meet and their connection and everything, which I explained in a previous video, or I remember filming it. The question is, actually, it might be from my indie vlog, so I might not even have it out yet, because I remember talking about it. So I'm pretty sure it's probably from I filmed it for my indie vlog, because I think, but yeah, but it will be in my wrap up, so that will come out. So you can learn more about that here. But now they have their own story. There's 5 comics, and it's called Monster High Muda Triangle, which is interesting. And I did say that I really liked the relationship. I only had one issue, which is that I wanted more of a arc from Valentine being the evil person you saw in the movie Monster High. It's one of my favorite Monster High movies. I can't even remember the name now. The one about Dracula's 1600th birthday party. And how he went from that to, at the beginning of the story, trying to apologize to Dracula because he regrets everything. He's a high school student now. He's trying to be good, and then he falls in love with Spelladon. Like, I just want to see how we got from point A to point B. If there is a comic out there that has to do with Valentine's transformation or anything, let me know, because I would love to see it, because that was my only issue. Because I feel like, don't get me wrong, I love a good redemption arc if done right. There are some characters I don't think and that it could be done with, and for Valentine, I never thought he could be redeemed. But I do like his relationship with Spelladon. My only issue was never getting to see him be redeemed. Like, actually see him decide, like, because at the end of that movie, he was still all angry. He was still, like, a terrible person. So how did we get from that to him trying to apologize to Dracula and falling in love with Spelladon? Like, I really want to get from point A to point B. That was my only issue with it. Other than that, I don't know, maybe these comics have to do with that. But I don't think that makes sense, because the other comic I read was kind of like Valentine and Spelladon's first real, like, meeting and stuff. So at this point, they probably already know each other. So I don't think that's the case. But anyways, moving on. So I'm going to read what the first one is about. Fang favors character Spelladon Spelldon, Caldronolo, and Kieran Valentine are starring in their scary first a multiverse adventure that includes glimpses into monstrous steampunk pirate and Wild West worlds featuring alternate versions of popular Monster High characters. Spelldon is invited to a once-in-a-lifetime summer internship with the all-powerful guardian of the Bermuda Triangle, the place where all worlds are kept in balance. His boyfriend Valentine is fighting for him, but he can't help worrying about what the week's part will do to the relationship. What if Spelldon forgets him? What if the Guardian is Gary Ha? What if he falls into a wormhole? So Valentine secretly follows Spelldon to the Bermuda Triangle to make sure no shenanigans happen and accidentally kind of unintentionally causes all the universes to part and converge. Oops! Spelldon and Valentine will have to overcome their insecurities, mend the ribs, and find each other in every universe. Easy queasy. Oh my gosh. I absolutely love that premise. So, I'm even more excited to read this now. Only problem is I have been having trouble finding it. So I'm going to have to try to see where I can find it. I don't know, maybe I'll just buy it because I do love Monster High. So, and I am curious, and I am excited for especially since there's 5 of these. Like, I'm very excited for their story. So yeah. I think that was the last one on my list. Yeah. So those are what I'm excited to read that are queer related. So thank you for watching. Let me know if there's anything you think I would like. I like fantasy, magic, stuff like that. I'm also into mystery and horror, but fantasy is my favorite. So we'll chat below in the comments. Until next time.